Hello and welcome. We spend a lot of time thinking about our heart, our brain, even our muscles. But what about our liver? This incredible organ is a true powerhouse, but it often works in silence. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain and look at the hidden story of our liver and how some of our most common daily habits might be affecting it without us even realizing it. Let's get into it.
So let me just start with a direct question for you. Think about what you eat every day, your breakfast, that afternoon snack, your dinner. Could those very meals be quietly causing harm to one of your most vital organs? It's a pretty serious thought, and it's a question we're absolutely going to answer together.
So here's our game plan. First, we'll talk about why this is such a silent threat. Then, we'll look at how things can progress from a little fat to serious inflammation. After that, we're going to uncover the main culprit, what I call the constant eating trap. But don't worry, we're not stopping there. We'll then pivot to real solutions, simple daily care, the incredible power of just pausing, and finally, your personal path to a healthier liver.
All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, the silent threat. You see, the biggest problem we face with liver health is that our liver is, well, it's not a complainer. It doesn't send up flares when it's in trouble.
There's a very good reason it's called the silent organ. Damage can be building up for years, sometimes even decades, and you wouldn't feel a thing. There are no obvious signs. And that silence, that's what makes this so tricky. The problem can grow and get worse, completely under the radar. The very first stage of this damage is something called fatty liver, or steatosis. It's exactly what it sounds like. Excess fat starts to accumulate inside your liver cells, and the only symptom you might get? Maybe some mild fatigue. I mean, who isn't tired these days, right? It's so easy to just brush that off. That's why it's the perfect example of a silent disease.
Now, I want you to really let this number sink in. This is not some rare, obscure condition. We're talking about an estimated 25 to 30% of all adults. That's about 1 in every 4 people you know. And here's the kicker. The vast, vast majority of them have absolutely no clue. So what happens if that silent buildup of fat just continues, unchecked? I mean, a little fat, what's the big deal, right? Well, this is where the story takes a more serious turn. This is where we start to move from just having fat to having dangerous inflammation. This is the typical path of liver damage. You start with a perfectly healthy liver. Then it can progress to fatty liver, which, by the way, is totally reversible. But if nothing changes, it can develop into something called NASH. This is where the liver gets inflamed and scarring starts to form. And from there, the final stops are cirrhosis or even cancer. We're talking severe and often irreversible damage. The whole key is to catch it and turn it around early.
Let's zero in on NASH for a second. That stands for non-alcoholic steatohepatitis. Now that first word is incredibly important, non-alcoholic. This is serious liver inflammation that's driven by diet and lifestyle, not by alcohol. And it's not rare either. An estimated 5 to 10% of adults might have it, which puts them on a very dangerous path. So the big question is, how does this even happen? What's really driving this silent epidemic of liver issues? Well, it boils down to something that's become incredibly common in our modern world, something we can call the constant eating trap. Right at the very heart of this problem is a condition called insulin resistance. Now here's how it works. Normally, insulin is like a key that unlocks your cells to let sugar in for energy. But when you have insulin resistance, your cells start to ignore that key. The locks get sticky. All that sugar is now stuck in your blood with nowhere to go. So your liver has to jump in and do damage control, and it does that by turning all that excess sugar into fat for storage.
Let's look at this side by side because it makes it really clear. On the left, you have a normal, healthy response. You eat a meal, insulin does its job, and then your liver gets to rest and reset. But look at the right. With our modern habit of constant eating and snacking, insulin levels are high all the time. Your cells get tired of hearing the signal, and your poor liver is forced to work overtime, around the clock with no breaks, just storing fat. It's that relentless workload that really causes the damage. Okay, I know that all might sound a little bit daunting, but I have some really good news. This process is not a one-way street. In fact, it's highly reversible, especially in the early stages. So let's shift gears now and talk about the solutions. Simple, practical changes you can start making today.
And the fixes here are refreshingly simple. We're not talking about anything extreme. First, try to avoid late-night meals and snacks. Cut way back on sugary drinks and heavily processed foods. Instead, fill your plate with vegetables and fiber. Try to get in just 30 minutes of light exercise a day. Even a brisk walk makes a huge difference. And finally, get regular checkups. And don't be afraid to ask your doctor, hey, how do my liver markers like AST and ALT look?
Now, on top of those steps, there's an even more powerful strategy I want to share with you. And it all comes down to the power of the pause. This is a real game changer because it's not just about what you're eating, but when you're eating. Giving your liver a scheduled break every single day might be one of the most effective things you can possibly do.
This really gets to the core of it. The key to liver health isn't just about avoiding bad stuff. It's about creating the time for your body to do its own healing. You see, when your liver isn't constantly busy processing the food you just ate, it can finally switch gears. It can go into repair mode and start burning off that stored fat for energy. A really effective and popular way to do this is called intermittent fasting. A common approach is the 16-8 method. That means you fast for 16 hours and eat your meals within an 8-hour window. So for example, you might finish dinner by 7 p.m. and then not eat again until 11 a.m. the next day. That long overnight break gives your liver the precious downtime it desperately needs to stop storing fat and actually start burning it. It's literally time to clean house.
And the results? Well, they're pretty dramatic. As you can see here, with a pattern of constant eating throughout the day, those liver fat levels stay high. But look what happens when you introduce a daily fasting window. You see a significant drop. You're not necessarily even changing what you eat, just when you eat it. That period of not eating is every bit as important as the period of eating.
Okay, let's bring this all home. The single most important message I want you to take away from all this is that you do not need some radical, painful overhaul of your entire life. When it comes to your liver's health, it's the small, consistent changes that lead to the biggest results.
This chart here really sums it all up perfectly. Let's just walk through it. You've got the habit, the problem it causes, and the simple solution. So, late night snacking, it overloads your liver. The solution? Just stop eating 3 to 4 hours before you go to sleep. A high sugar intake, it drives fat storage. The solution? Swap those sugary drinks for water. There's no off switch for your liver when you're always eating. The solution? Introduce a fast to give it that crucial break it needs to repair. Simple, right?
So we end right back where we started, but hopefully with a whole new perspective. The damage to your liver might be silent, but the solutions are loud and clear, and they are completely within your control. You only get one liver in this life. It performs over 500 vital functions to keep you alive and healthy every single day. So the real question is, what's one small thing you're going to do today to protect it?